What's up, guys, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. See, it doesn't take a whole year for me to upload another video. We simply have to wait 1 week. But because we did the NAIC tier list video last week, it only makes sense that this week we're going to be doing an NAIC recap video. Obviously, the weekend was great. I met so many of you, so many kind people, to be quite honest with you. A lot of people coming up to me asking for pictures too, which is like insane to me. A ton of compliments as well. I even got to hop on the community watch party stream as well with a couple of the other casters too. So technically I got to be on camera for NAIC, but regardless, the watch party was still really cool. It was like a nice little mix of all of the casters between both regions. So a little bit of EU, a little bit of NA, a couple of casters who were on that weekend, a couple casters who were playing that weekend, like me. So honestly, it was such a great weekend. It was so nice meeting all of you. I had a blast this time, and honestly, it was a really good way to end my season as well. And before we go and talk about the North American International Championships for 2025, I wanted to talk a little bit about my season as well. I also used this video technically last year to talk about my run, and I wanted to do like a quick little overview of what my run was, just like a quick one, and talk about, of course, my points for this season. And let's go on ahead and get started. So I'm going to do a little bit of a championship point breakdown, just a small one. Now, it's no lie, of course, that me being on the desk this season did limit some of the tournaments I could and I could not enter, right? So, for example, I would have 100% entered Baltimore. It was the closest regional to me by like an hour and a half away from my house. But that was my first event that I casted this season. So a couple of playing opportunities were slipped away from me. Also, the fact that points actually went down, or you were able to get points a little bit lower in placements this season, definitely helped me, right? So I will say nothing crazy here. I'm not saying I had like the best season of my life. This was my second season playing competitively, and I was actually able to secure my first cup win, which was really sick. I really wanted the End Zoroark mat, so I'm really happy I got it. But I would say this is a medium, finish. Last season I did end with 193 points, and this season I got to end with 302 points, so that feels really good. I got points at both internationals that I did get to enter, EUIC and NAIC. Just whiffing the winning in on, and we'll talk about it, NAIC, just by time, and also whiffing the winning in at Atlanta Regionals back in April now, if you can believe it. But I would say I didn't really try too hard. I points at most of the events I entered, to be quite honest. I actually think I got points at, if not every challenge I entered, or like close to it. So I will say, with the points being more lenient this season, I was able to get more points by being a little bit more lazy. But I think it's definitely very interesting, the fact that I entered less and earned more this season. So nothing crazy. I still tried to play as much as possible within casting times. And, you know, not too bad for somebody who's like half and half playing and casting. Let's talk about the list, what I did decide to play to the North American International Championship, and that is going to be, to no one's surprise at all, this Raging Bolt EX list. I had a lot of success with it in Atlanta, and I said to myself, you know what, if I did well with it in Atlanta, I'll do well with it in New Orleans. I'm just going to commit to one deck. I'm not going to really focus on all of the decks around me. I decided to say, you know what, let's just go on ahead and send it with a list that I know pretty well. Now, in regards to this list, though, compared to my Atlanta list, there were a couple of changes, I do believe, like small ones, right? So putting in Judge instead of Iono, getting rid of some of my recovery options. I used to run 2/2 Night Stretcher and Energy Retrieval, and I thought that was a lot, and I was able to cut it for some Pokemon. I really wasn't a believer in some of the cards in this list, like, for example, the Transformative Start Ditto. I really wasn't a believer. And then we got to see how much that card gets so much mileage in tons of opening turns where your hand really isn't giving you much. And I cannot express enough how many times I use Ditto throughout just the past couple months, from cups to challenges to NAIC as well. Ditto, definitely a non-negotiable card, I would say, to be quite honest now. Even if you don't start it, it's perfect fodder for Earthen Vessel, for Ultra Ball as well. So honestly, I really enjoyed my list, but I will say, if I could be critical of my own list, is that I don't think this list was specifically teched for the tournament I was going to, if that makes sense, right? So I think a lot of people were saying, oh, Marnie's Grimmsnarl is going to be top 3 decks, right? And it ended up being top 3 decks, which is no surprise at all, right? But I think for me, I was so like headstrong on playing a list that just was so consistent. I didn't want to change anything right before the tournament, and I really should have at least tried the Iron Leaves. I know that was something that a lot of people were missing, and I honestly think I should have tried it. I don't think it would have changed anything in my matchups, but I think for the tournament itself, I think it was a really good call. I will say, I think 3 Raging Bolt is normal, but I could see people getting away with 2. I do know that people were playing 2 Raging Bolt EXs and Baby Bolt with this Iron Leaves. I could definitely see myself getting behind it, but I just didn't think I had enough time of practicing. So once again, I think it's on me and lazy prep before the tournament. I definitely should not have underestimated my matchup into Marnie's Grimmsnarl, right? Because we definitely win, right? But I think it's a little bit easier with Iron Leaves, and I think Iron Leaves should have gone on this list, maybe even potentially over something like 3rd Raging Bolt EX. I mean, for me, I'll be honest with you all, I'm a big Mew EX hater. We'll be talking about it in a couple of slides from now. But I cannot express enough how much I love this deck. I know any turbo deck of the format gets a ton of hate. Just because it's turbo, it goes fast, right? But honestly, Raging Bolt, I do not regret this decision at all. I know a lot of people tried to sway me off of it or try to get me to change around my list, but my list is comfortable for me, and I've always said that a familiar bad matchup is always going to be better than a unfamiliar bad matchup. And I know for me, honestly, it really came down to me sometimes not drawing the cards I needed, or just weird luck starting. For example, I started maybe 3 rounds with Slitherwing Ursaluna in the hand, even after pile shuffling, having other people shuffle my deck. Like, Blood Moon Ursaluna and Slitherwing were just best friends in this list, and they just kept showing up. And that's what led to some of my, I guess, like, downfalls, right? Was starting Slitherwing into something like a Gardevoir, for example, where honestly my best move was just stomping off a couple times, but it didn't really get me that much mileage as much as I wanted. But I still think this was the correct list for me. But regardless, I love my list. It's really nothing too crazy outside of the norm. I would say when we're talking about Raging Bolt and Blood Moon Ursaluna, these are going to be my 2 MVP cards. I know that Azul apparently said yesterday on his podcast that Professor Taro's scenario was correct in Raging Bolt, which makes me feel really good, because a lot of people were telling me how much they hated it, or you shouldn't play it at all, like what a useless card. But I do think it is correct, especially into something like Marnie's Grimmsnarl as well, being able to do something like using a Teal Mask Ogre Pawn, putting it down on the bench, accepting that it's going to take a couple of ticks of damage, but also going back in and being able to use your Jewel Seekers and then Turoing out the Teal Mask Ogre Pawn just to mess up the math a little bit. I think it is such a good card. I think it's a great card. I'm so glad Azul said something. But I have to also be honest with you all. I think Blood Moon Ursaluna was definitely one of my MVP cards. To be quite honest, in both of the Raging Bolt mirrors that I did play, I did end up using Blood Moon Ursaluna for the knockout at the end. While I think Squawkabilly EX is a great card, do not get me wrong, I think Blood Moon Ursaluna definitely is a little bit better for your endgame cincher when you've simply just ran out of energy, you've ran out of Sadas, you know, your Pal Pad is prized, and I think it's a little bit better than Squawk, because to be quite honest, where are the times that you want to start Squawk instead of Fan Rotom, right? So honestly, Blood Moon Ursaluna is not leaving the list. It's never leaving the list. Don't get me to try and leave the list because it's just too good. But let's talk about my least valuable player, the LVP of my list, and that's going to be Muax. I cannot tell you how many times this card did not hit the bench. I wish this was Iron Leaves. If this Muax was Iron Leaves, I think I would have had a very different tournament. But I just hate this card so much. Obviously, Restart is so good, but I just don't think my run had a use for this card quite literally at all. So, Muax, LVP, least valuable player on my team. I really wish it did more, but it really didn't. It just soaked up space in the deck. Very unfortunate, because I do think this is one of the best cards in Standard, but for me, I just didn't like it. But let's get into actually talking about NAIC. That's enough about my run. I did go 5-2-2. I ended up getting out of contention in round 8, I want to say. Yeah, 8, because there were 9 rounds. Just solely due to ties, or to time, because my EV Box opponent was a little bit slow in the way he was going. I was able to win in turns. And then unfortunately it was like no time left, so we both had to tie. We didn't do a gentleman's agreement, and to be quite honest, I don't do gentleman's agreements. One, because I'm a caster. We're not really supposed to kind of do those things, but for me, it's more so about I guess we should be able to finish 3 games when it's EV Box Raging Bolt, but unfortunately it didn't finish. It sent me into a 4-2-2 record, and then I did win the final round of the tournament. So I ended up at 604th place out of 3,812, which feels pretty good. Like, I'm pretty happy with that. Obviously, it wasn't you know, day 2, right? But still, I think I played well. I think the games that I lost, I was supposed to lose. So ended up with 40 points, and that's how we broke 300 points for the season. So honestly, I'm pretty happy with it. Maybe if you guys want to see it, I'll do a very detailed round by round. But honestly, let's just talk about the overall tournament itself, because we had a lot of fun things to talk about, right? Like, we had, I mean, look at the deck analysis for day 1. Let's be honest, right? I don't think anybody was expecting Raging Bolt to be number 1. I'll be honest with you. I certainly wasn't expecting it at all, right? But I think it was a deck that a lot of people were counting out. So once again, when you're going to bigger tournaments like this, you are going to play something that's a little bit more comfortable. I think Raging Bolt was just the most straightforward thing. It does surprise me that it's number 1, but it doesn't surprise me that so many people played it, because it's a comfortable deck for a lot of people. Once again, a turbo deck is going to get a lot of hate because it's very straightforward. You understand what you need to do. It has draw, right? And to be quite honest, we really did not see Team Rocket's Watchtower as much as I thought we were, right? I think a lot of people saw that card and they're like, well, I'm putting one of that in everything, right? But still, I think Raging Bolt is a great deck. But the problem is we're playing Raging Bolt into a field of Gardevoir EXs, which, you know, we know how that ends up, right? But coming in at number 2 was Marnie's Grimmsnarl EX. This, of course, we know had a ton of hype going into the tournament. It's the first deck that Marnie's Grimmsnarl EX was legal. I've been playing with it a little bit post NAIC. I'm the type of player that says, you know what, I'm only going to play one deck until, like, that's it. Until the tournament's over, and so I get the most amount of reps as possible. So now the NAIC is over, the season's over, so now I can actually play a couple more decks. Marnie's Grimmsnarl, very fun. The thing is, I think it can be a little bit setup picky, if you will. We'll go into Piper Lapine's list in a couple of slides just to kind of talk about that setup. But nothing surprises me here. I think a lot of people were anticipating Gardevoir, so they said, hey, let's just hit Gardevoir for weakness at that point. But coming in at 3rd is going to be Gardevoir EX. So we got to talk about it. No, not one Dragapult in the top 3, which is so surprising. I really thought it was going to be Raging Bolt 4, Dragapult, any variation, all the way up in, like, number 1 area. And honestly, if you see the last 2 columns and you combine the percentages there, we are at over 13%, which would be technically 2nd place. But still, it's pretty surprising to me that Pult wasn't even in the top 3, that you have to combine the Pult archetypes together to get a top 3 list. But Gardevoir, honestly, we're going to talk about Gardevoir. I don't even want to talk about Gardevoir right now, just because we know how much this deck just dominates, and we can't do anything about it. I'm still really surprised at Joltik Box. I think while, yes, it's a great deck, I still think the deck is picky. Trust me, I say this all the time. I'm the Miraidon girly, right? And I think if I'm not playing Miraidon, I don't believe in the deck. And like I've said, I think Joltik Box is just too susceptible to bricking. There's no real draw engine in it. Sometimes you whiff every supporter that you need, even though you play 13 supporters. And I think playing it into a field of Raging Bolt is really dangerous, right? Especially because Slitherwing, Baby Slitherwing, Single Price Slitherwing is going to hit through Pikachu with that burn. Then you can't draw cards in a deck that already doesn't even have cards to draw, right? It doesn't surprise me that Joltik Box was really up there, right? Because we're anticipating the Guardy and the Marnie's Grimmsnarl, right? That's easy Gust hands on Frostlasses, on Marnie's Impidim's, on Curlias, on Ralts, but we're just... The consistency is what lacks, right? And it's really funny to say that about Joltik Box and Miraidon when things like old Miraidon, right? The Generator, Magneton, Raichu V, like that was already not consistent at all. But still, Joltik Box being up here does not surprise me because I think a lot of people going into the tournament said, you know what, I'll just go faster. Like, that's fine. I will just go faster and I'll just end up being able to outspeed my opponents. But you know, we'll see on the next page how that went. And once again, like I talked about it a little bit, Dragapult with its 2 best buddies, Dusknoir or Charizard, coming in at the bottom 2 of the first columns. As I said, if you combine these percentages, it's actually above 13%, which would put it in second, which doesn't surprise me. We'll talk a little bit more about Dragapult because I do have like a little bit of a point on it. But it doesn't surprise me that any of these decks are on day 1 on this order. It just surprises me where they are, right? So Dragapult being technically last, Gardevoir being 3rd, Raging Bolt being number 1 is insane. So that's day 1. Let's go ahead and talk day 2 because I think this is also really interesting. So if we were to notice one thing, it's just that Joltik Box is just off the graphic, right? Which just doesn't surprise me at all. Once again, it's a deck that can fall on its face really easily. And while, yes, a ton made day 2, right? It's just not my favorite. It's just not my favorite pick. It's not. But we are seeing EV Box, Flareon, Noctowl coming onto the graphic as well here at 7.4%. Pretty good, I think. I think people have slept on the EVs. I think I said in my tier list video as well that if you play EV Box, you should play EV Box because it's got a counter for everything. I know my opponent that I played in round 8 also played the Leafeon, so everybody was teched and ready. Everyone was teched and ready for Grim, and I think that was something that was really good. But let's talk about the uptick in percentage of Dragapult going over left 2 columns going into day 2. So it started at 13-something%, right? Now look at it, right? Dragapult, double Dragapult archetypes, whatever you want to call it, combined together, that is 18%. I can't believe I just did math or close to 18%, right? Like 17.7%. Jumps up above Raging Bolt as well. Gardevoir EX as well, still sticking in that, sticking in the top 3 spot. But you see a little bit of a flip between Marnie's Grimmsnarl, right? You are naturally going to have a lot of drop-off when you are playing one of the most popular decks in the room because the conversion rate switches, right? I think for a lot of people, they came in with the right idea of, oh, I think Marnie's Grimmsnarl is pretty good. I have a couple games on this deck. Like, I can definitely make day 2. But I think in exact practices, not exactly what we are seeing. Doesn't surprise me, though, that Gardevoir is going to slide into that number 2 spot. I think if you are still playing Gardevoir EX now, it's not like a oopsie, I'll just fall into this deck type of pick. It's I know how to pilot this deck. I know how to pilot this deck well. And I think, and we'll talk about it on the next slide, I think if you are a Gardevoir player, you just know how to play this deck to its max capacity. But Still, Raging Bolts in number 1 is shocking, but if, like, you know, it's number 1 going into day 1, you have all these good players on it, it doesn't surprise me that it's going to stay in number 1. So that's day 2. 390 decks in day 2. This day 2 was huge. I know a lot of players that got to play in the day 2. I really wish I was there, but a couple rounds here and there. Should have played a little bit faster. A couple bricks that we can't ignore. So let's jump on into what we're taking away from NAIC. So if it's one thing that I think this page is going to be the I'm sorry for ever having an opinion page. I think Typhlosion is a great partner. I still believe it's not exactly there yet as a deck solo. I still think it's, you know, it's pretty okay. But I think Ethan's Typhlosion is a great partner to a ton of decks. So we saw actually a Golden Go Typhlosion kind of combo deck that was pretty good. And to be quite honest with you, I saw a ton of Golden Go Pult at this tournament. My round 1 was a Golden Go Pult. I sat next to a ton of Golden Go Pults. I think that was a deck that actually a lot of people played. Something also to note that only 2 Team Rocket's Mewtwo EXs made it into day 2. Does not surprise me. Once again, I think the deck was pretty mid, but congratulations to those players who are going to be the first 2 people to get this card, a Limitless page in North America. I think it's also safe to say that Marnie's Grimmsnarl definitely lived up to the hype. Piper Lapine piling it into top 8, top cut. A couple of Grimmsnarls really made it up there. I think it really did counter the Gardevoirs where it counted. I think also something to note that 7 Cynthia's Garchomp EXs made it to day 2, and 1 even got top 64. So we absolutely need to look out for this deck. I think it's only going to get stronger. I think a lot of people are going to figure out the most optimal way to place Garchomp, Grimmsnarl, Mewtwo. Like all these decks from Destined Rivals, I think not too many people were keen on being a little far out there. I think Barney's Grimmsnarl coming in naturally is just a strong player in the game, right? But I think we're going to optimize these decks more and more and more as we see Destined Rivals go into Black Bolt and White Flare and into Worlds. So one of the things that I think is really interesting is that Grimmsnarl hitting Gardevoir for type weakness, and Gardevoir still doesn't really care, right? We'll see the ways that Gardevoir has countered Grimmsnarl, right? But I think a lot of people, once again, are saying, you know what? I just know how to pilot this deck. I will adjust the way I want to adjust, and then I'll just continue playing Gardevoir. It's just such a strong deck. Like, you have your single prizes, you have Monkey Dory. This deck really does do it all. Like I said, we'll talk about it a little bit more. But Jolting Box falls on its face again. It does not surprise me. Once again, it really comes down. If you really want to high roll your luck, I think you play Jolting Box. Like, I truly feel that way. If you're high rolling all of your luck, it's got to come down to Jolting Box. If you got it, you got it, right? You get that turn 1 going second Jolting Charge, and no one can stop you as long as you have like a Crispin in hand or a Prime Catcher in hand. I just think it's too high rolling. And if you got it this tournament and your luck is on fire, like, you'll do well. But I think a lot of people have the right idea of like, oh, I'll just go faster than my opponent. But it just doesn't work that way. It truly, truly doesn't. And the final thing I want to talk about is all 3 Dragapult variants were featured in top 12. So the 3 Dragapult variants, Dragapult Dusknoir, Dragapult Charizard, and Straight Pult all down in top 12. I think it really is down to comfort. A lot of people might disagree with me, but with so many Dragapults being so close to each other in the final standings, for me, it's just whatever makes you feel more comfortable. I mean, Tord piloted Straight Pult into 3rd at NAIC, but then you have Dragapult Dusknoir all littered right within that top 12. So, and Dragapult Charizard as well. I think it really, truly does come down to comfort. So that's my key points that were taken away from NAIC. Let's talk about the winning list. Big congratulations to Isaiah Bradner winning Masters here. He's had a great season getting his first regional win over in Europe. And now he has from first regional win to first international win within the first 2 seasons. And of course, piloting this Gardevoir EX that we all know is just, it's got to be best deck in format, right? Like, I think we can safely say the Gardevoir is the best deck in format. I think this list, though, I'm finally going to give some props to Gardevoir players because we're finally getting more aggressive, and that is what has made me want to play Gardevoir a little bit more. With the addition of Boss's Orders within the deck, right? I think Boss's Orders is such a good card. I think now that Shaman, right, with that Flower Veil is out, now we can't exactly Screamtail snipe everything that we want to see, right? So we may have to play a Boss's Orders to get whatever we want into the active. I am okay with that. But still, let's talk about the real MVP of the list. I have a nice white arrow and a nice pink clicker to kind of show you here. And this is going to be the interesting card of the deck to me, and that is going to be Technical Machine Turbo Energize here. This has to be for the Grimmsnarl matchup, and this is where you're going to be able to search your deck for up to 2 basic energies, attach them to your bench Pokemon any way you like, and then shuffle your deck. You know what this is for? It's of course for Marnie's Grimmsnarl EX, and it's a genius idea, right? We know that the damage is going to start ticking. We can't avoid everything that we're throwing at us in terms of damage counter, so why not be the first to throw the damage back? And if we look back here, we also see a card like Energy Switch here as well. So we're going to be able to get those 2, maybe even 3 Monkey Dory set up, and then use not only Technical Machine Energize, but also Energy Switch to move this dark energy back and forth between our monkeys. I think this is such a fun way to play Gardevoir. It truly is just winning. But like I said, it really feels like the tech for a Grimmsnarl matchup. But honestly, Isaiah showed us that we can use it in the mirror. We can use it anywhere we need to go. So big congratulations to him. Nothing else too standouty in the list. It feels pretty, like I said, it actually feels kind of aggressive with Technical Machine Turbo Energize. Obviously, I think we're using that in the Marnie's Grimmsnarl matchup only. Any other time, we're going to want to be using our Technical Machine evolutions and playing Gardevoir the way we know how, right? But the Boss's Orders, I cannot stress enough how happy I am to see Gardevoir play more aggressive. It's just such a flexible deck. Congratulations to Isaiah. I did get to talk to him a little bit in the airport, and he did say that Technical Machine Turbo Energize was Henry's idea. So shout out to Henry Chow, of course, the Gardevoir master of the universe, doing what he does best. But let's talk about some standout lists to kind of close off our segment here. This is going to be Piper Lapine's 6th place list, the highest placing Marnie's Grimmsnarl here. And it looks like a pretty standard list if we're looking at it, right? The 3-2-2 line of the Marnie's Grimmsnarl line, it seems pretty fair. It really just doesn't seem like to me that we're going to get more than 2 Grimmsnarl out each game. So just one to kind of start spreading around the damage, and then when that one gets knocked out, you bring out a second one. Nothing really surprises me here. It seems like a lot of people are really stuck on the 2-2 line of the Snorunt Frostlass. Doesn't surprise me once again. Pretty standard. 3 Monkey Dory as well. Honestly, it feels like we can just shove Monkey Dory inside of any deck list we want at this point. It does not matter. If you like spreading damage, it's Monkey Dory. Just put one in your list. I think we're gonna try and put honestly, I really want to try put Monkey Dory and Raging Bolt. I think that would be really funny. But Badu and Shaman as well, just to protect our bench guys. Makes sense with a Frostlass here. And I just got to talk about it. So I was playing this deck list last night, and I feel like 2 Buddy Poffin and 2 Nestball, it just feels like so light, right? Especially when we start our bench with just a bunch of little guys. The only EX we have in this deck is Marnie's Grimmsnarl EX. So it feels really reliant on getting these opening Buddy Poffins and Nestballs on turn 1. And even our 1 Artisan here too. But I just can't find it consistently. Like, once again, playing online versus playing in person, those are very 2 different things, right? But to make this list work with only 2 Buddy Poffin, only 2 Nestball, and an Artisan as your search, that is so impressive for something like Monkey Dory. Now, granted, we do also have Spike Myth Gym, which does allow for us to grab Marnie's Pokemon out of the deck, but 1 Artisan to cover Monkey Dory, Snorunt, Badu, and Shaman, and even an Impidimp if you need to, right? It's just, it's amazing how sometimes decks can work without having a 4-of, for example, within the list. Because this list has no 4-ofs aside from, you know, your supporters. It doesn't even play a 4-of Spike Myth. So good on Piper to be able to find a lot of these options here, but this all just makes sense. We're going to see the technical machine devolution as well, just as that end game alternate win condition. But of course, 4 Arven, 4 Iono just makes sense. And 2 rare candy too. I mean, like I said, this list feels so light, but it just ends up working. But one of the stars of the tournament that I want to talk about, because I think every single one of us counted it out, including me, it's going to be Cameron Chenoy's End Zoroark EX list. That's it. Like, it's just End Zoroark. And I think what's so impressive about this list is that the counts are just so weird. The counts are odd when you look at it, right? Nothing surprises me about the 4-4 End Zoroark EX line, but the 1-1 Ends Darumaka Darmanitan line, only 1-1. I do think, and I've been a big proponent of saying this for a while, Ends Reshiram, I did always want to see more of that, right? Just in case you prize it. It is so important that you have actually something to copy when you attack. But think about it, right? It's so dangerous to just have a 1-1 line here that Cameron Chenoy said, you know what? I don't care about Flower Veil. I don't care about anything. I'm just going to do what I do and play it and just play End Zoroark. And it works, right? I think when we're able to manipulate our draws with Cypher Maniac's code breaking, when we're able to reliably set up with Cyrano, Secret Box as well, being able to Secret Box or Cyrano and still find our End Zoroark, it definitely all works, right? But I would love to see the deck list that Cameron played against, because to see just a 1-1 line of Darumaka and Darmanitan, oh my goodness, like, how did you do it? I think also something important to note, this is going to be one of the first times we do see Rigid Band, where our stage 1 Pokemon are going to take 30 less damage, so technically it makes it a 310 stage 2 Pokemon. Totally makes sense, right? I think it's a really cute tech, but we also have Defiance Band, Devolution. We have a ton of setup, right? So we were just talking about in Piper's list how sometimes our setup's not that great. But 4 Buddy Poffin, 2 Artisan, right? We can reliably get what we need. So honestly, shout outs to Cameron. I think this story is not being talked about as much as possible, because how do you do it? How do you do it? One line of Darumaka Darmanitan? That's nuts. I think, honestly, we're just hitting for Virtuous Flame the entire time. But good on Cameron. Congratulations. Top 8 at an international. Nothing to kind of roll your eyes at. The black belt training as well. So we're going to be able to do something like Defiance Band, Virtuous Flame, black belt for something like on a Raging Bolt. So really good stuff. You're hitting Gardevoir for weakness. Once Grimmsnarl hits you with Shadow Bullet up into the face, you're able to powerful rage it for knockout. But my goodness, a 1-1 line, a 2-2 or a 2 of Reshiram, and of course a couple of Dark Energies for Monkey Dory. This list plays it all. The Rigid Band too. It's like tank Zoroark. It's such a crazy showing. So congratulations. But let's get down into the fun decks. We got to talk about it. The most fun deck that I think we have in Standard right now, and this is going to be Ray Chen's 5th place Toad Squirrel EX deck. This is probably my favorite archetype. I'm so glad that Ray did well again. I think a lot of people were kind of like sticking their heads up just because, oh, well, you know, she did well at like the last regional of the season. Nobody wants to, like, nobody went. Who cares? But to get 5th place at an international with a deck that you just love to death, it just feels really good, right? Obviously, playing grass into this tournament was a smart idea with, top 2 and top 3 decks being Marnie's Grimmsnarl. That just makes sense, right? But I think Ray's just got it like that. You know what I mean? When you find your deck, you're going to always play the best with it. And I have to say, attaching all of this energy feels really good with Teal Dance, of course. You also have Toad Squirrel EX's Protective Mycelium, so all effects of attacks on your opponent's Pokemon just don't do any damage unless you have energy attached. And for something like going up against Dragapult EX, right, where we're spreading damage counters, you can't really do what you really want to do, right? So playing the Iron Leaves as well here. Once again, definitely a tech card, but definitely a great card in this list too. I mean, the bug catching set's going to be able to grab whatever you need. Unfortunately, Ray did not have the best stream game. I was able to watch it just a little bit against Tort, but oh my goodness, so close. Unfortunately, 2 Teal Mask prized. But still, just a great showing. I really hope Ray makes it to World. I don't know how many points she has. I think she may just be like a little, like maybe a little bit under. I'm not quite sure her season. Really hope she did make it. I want to see people play this list. I know for me, I've been playing this list. All you do is attach energy and you have a good time. And like I said, you're just using your bug catching sets. You're using Teal Dance. You have 4 Ogerpon all at once. Such a good showing from Ray Chan. I think she's showing everybody that she's got this stuff here. But let's jump into some of my funny decks that made day 2. Decks that I really enjoyed looking at in the results. And that's going to be Yahosua Tate. I know some people call him Yoshi, but I don't know him like that, so I'm not going to do it. Yahosua playing the Firebox. This is the 56th place, so a top 64 finish. Got some cash. But look at this. I want to count it for you guys. That's 20 Pokemon that you're playing. 20 Pokemon. But this is going to be kind of like that second coming of Gouging Fire EX, where we're able to move the damage around with Armor Rouge. This is such a fun deck to play when you're not bricking, right? There are 20 Pokemon in this deck, but I think my favorite thing is that we are including our Hearthflame Mask Ogerpon EX here as well. Such a great card. If your opponent's Pokemon is an evolution, you do 140 more. That's 280. That actually hits pretty deep. But I think a lot of people are looking over here at Durant. Of course, you're going to be able to hit weakness here. It's 120 base, and then I do believe it's 30 plus each prize card that your opponent has taken. So we're smacking Grims, we're smacking Charizards for knockout. No worries at all here. So it does not surprise me that we're doing really well with this list. The problem is, though, we play so many Pokemon that sometimes you really just don't get what you need. Like I said, I played this list yesterday. I was not able to find a supporter for the life of me. But I think Ethan's Ho-Oh is definitely going to find a little bit more placement. It's just a great way to accelerate energy. I think for a lot of people who miss Magma Base and they miss Energy Switch, right? I think this is a really great deck. I want to see it go just a little bit further. Regigigas, of course, going to be hitting on your Dragapults as well. You have Lily's Clefairy. Like, this is like your tech deck, right? Like, okay, I'm ready for any matchup it throws at me. Have one Monkey Dory in there too, right? Every deck is playing Monkey Dory. It just does not surprise me. So congratulations to Yahosua for taking it home, taking a top 64 with this list, get a little bit of cash, and you just got it like that. And I know for me, I definitely want to be playing this list on my live stream. Let's talk about Walls, because Walls is back. I know nobody wants to talk about it. I know we all want to turn away from it, but Walls are back, and they're definitely looking a little different, right? Let's talk about it, because come on, this is an archetype you might have to face. We've seen it a couple times. Iron Thorns is back, but with a new buddy. You got Crustle here. Single prize grass type Pokemon, of course. So, you know, hitting on those Grimmsnarls for weakness. But everything can't be damaged by a Pokemon EX here. And then future Pokemon, of course. Only going to be the ones that have abilities here. Pokevital A as well, being able to heal all of your damage from one Pokemon. Medical Energy as well, too. So we've seen a little bit luxurious cape onto a Crustle for 250 HP as a single prize that can't be attacked by basics. Colress's Tenacity, though, of course, finding its way in. Practice Studio, Turbo Energized, once again, to get this energy all out of the deck. Like, this deck list is really fun. I think if you're a Walls player, you're definitely going to be able to find, your footing once more. I still think, though, this list can and may lose to Raging Bolts, of course, because Iron Thorn's weak to fighting. Slitherwing does actually hit through it. So, still great stuff coming out from Brandon, showing us that Walls are still here. But I think the real star of the show is going to be Jared Grimes at 340th place. Does not matter when you're making day 2 with the festival lead. Made it all the way through, of course, day 1. And I gotta be real with you guys. This is nuts. I think I did read online that Jared wasn't even expecting to win a game. So the fact that he won a game, he was already really surprised. But it's really coming down to this single prize Hydrapple here with Hydra Breath. If you discard 6 basic grass energy from your hand, your opponent's active Pokemon's just knocked out. Like, nuts. Like, absolutely nuts. You play Festival Lead, of course, to hit your weakness on, once again, Marnie's Grimmsnarl, Dragapult, right? But you're just hide your breath for knockout on something like Gardevoir EX, 2 Boss's Orders, a counter catcher as well. This is insane. Tons of ways to get energy into the deck as well. Bug catching set, letter of encouragement too, earthen vessel, right? And superior super rod. But look at all these one-ofs, right? Like 1 of letter of encouragement, 1 of earthen vessel, 1 superior energy retrieval. Like, how does he do it? I don't know. But the way that we're able to kind of go through boom boom groove too, like you're drawing your cards, like this is nuts. The max rod as well to bring everything back into the hand too. So big congratulations to Jared. Once again, I'm pretty sure he said on Twitter that he didn't expect to even win a game. Went all the way to make day 2. Rapska as well showing its head too, but really good stuff. I mean, I bet everybody that he played against was so confused. I know for me, I definitely would have lost to this list, I'll be honest with you. So congratulations to Jared being one of our, what we would call in fighting games, our low tier hero or our mid-deck master here. Congratulations to Jared, the Lana's aid, like everything just looks really funny in this list. But I think if we're going to come to an end here, chat, let's just talk about it. I think for Gardevoir, who's now officially made $1 million, like she has $1 million in winnings, I think if you aren't playing the deck, if you don't know how to play against the deck, now's the time. Gardevoir's not going anywhere until next rotation. You still got almost a whole year with it. You got to play it. 99 regional top 8 finishes, 22 wins at regionals, 35 finishes in an international top 8, including 2 wins at internationals. This deck is here to stay. It is obviously very good. And if you don't know how to play against that deck, you gotta learn now. And if you want to learn this deck, now's the best time. So once again, play Gardevoir. You can make a lot of money playing Gardevoir. But if you're not playing Gardevoir, know how to play against Gardevoir. It's not going anywhere. It's obviously our front runner for the World Championship, and we'll make a whole video on the World Championship coming in. But still, thank you guys so much for watching my video. Make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe. Do it all. And we will see you guys next week or in a couple days whenever we upload a new video to talk more about Pokemon TCG. Like, comment, and subscribe. See you later.